If you have a question for Tori, please raise your hand and we will get started. Kareem.
Hey, what's up, Shatori?
How you doing?
Good. Just kind of take me a little bit through this week. What's kind of been your focus? Not just, well, kind of your focus, and also as a team, because obviously you're still kind of getting acclimated. So just curious how this week is for you and kind of the overall message for the team.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of breakdown stuff, especially defensively. I think we could be a lot more disruptive on a defensive end, just talking to each other. I think when you talk about chemistry, a lot of people think chemistry is offensive all the time, but I feel like it's also defensive, just being able to know, somebody's strengths and weaknesses. If someone has maybe slower feet than another person, being over and help side, and like that's what I think our focus has been this week, just defensive principles and breakdowns and getting that chemistry on the defensive end.
Does that come along quicker for you, considering that's one of your strengths?
I do enjoy it, but there's definitely some areas that I need to improve on, and I know for sure it's with me. I'm super excited to have, I love playing defense with Tosh. Tosh just makes, in my opinion, she makes everyone feel comfortable because she's always talking and she's just always in the right position, and I feel that she is. And when you have somebody like, she wasn't here today, but just someone like Alicia Clark, who's made all defensive teams, just having that voice on the sidelines, Shavante and Ariel, it just makes me feel more comfortable, and I feel like I'm getting better for sure.
You led me right into somewhere. I was gonna ask, how did Tosh look, number one, and number two, how different is it when, or she's been out for so long, but still, how big of a difference? And I know you weren't here for the whole thing, but not having her, considering she's the leader, she's the point guard, like you said, everything she kind of brings to that defensive end. I assume it's not just like, you never want to lose a starter, but I mean, that's a pretty important starter.
For sure, definitely. And luckily, she is always talking. So even when she's not, we obviously want her on the court, but when she's not talking, you can like feel her on the court because she's like right on the sidelines, always talking in the huddles. When I was in New York, she was talking, letting us know her perspective, what she sees, because obviously, there's coaches have their perspective, we have ours when we're on the court, and then she gives us hers. But she looked great to me. She looks great. She was moving. She was obviously pacing herself, but I mean, she did a lot. She did great for me. Just being out there, being able to be out there with her was definitely fun, and I was definitely a learning experience.
And just one last one for me, coming on Saturday, it's obviously every game's important, every game you want to win, but does it matter? Is there any emphasis on, let's get this one so we kind of go into the break on a big note, or is it still, hey, let's look at big picture, even if we don't get Saturday, it's not the end of the world?
Yeah, no, it's definitely going and win. We may be down numbers, but I guarantee you Chicago doesn't care that we're down numbers. Like, I guarantee you Chicago's going in feeling like they want to get this one too, going into break. So, we going in there trying to get this win, and definitely trying to build on what we've been working on this week. And like I said, eventually come out with a win.
Cool. Quick and easy for me. Appreciate you.
No problem. Thank you.
Christy.
Hey, Shatori.
Hey, Christy.
Hey. Just kind of building on what Kareem was talking about, but more tactically speaking, I know you haven't really focused on Chicago yet. I know yesterday, Coach Tebow was saying that you were probably going to angle that way Thursday, Friday, but just kind of knowing what Chicago likes to do, what are the specific things moving forward this week are you going to be trying to perfect?
Yeah, just honestly making everyone uncomfortable. I feel like making Vandersloot uncomfortable is going to be very big. With her and Candace, with their two tandem, I feel like they make their team go. With Candace being a point forward or center forward, however you want to, she's a point guard to me, but with Vandersloot as well, like they get everyone in the right position. So as much as we can be disruptive with them, kill their vision, making them uncomfortable, I feel like that's like a great start. And I feel like that's what we're trying to do today, with just, be disruptive on defense, getting our hands, getting deflections, not being able to make whoever the offensive player comfortable, bringing that heat on them. So I feel like that'll be very important to start. Obviously other things, but I feel like to start with that, that'll be important.
No doubt. And just with Megan and yourself, like just having those 7-day contracts, like each and every moment of every practice and game, what does that feel like for you and for her?
Yeah, for me, it's crazy because I feel like I've always just tried to take that approach. Like kind of like in my past years, like I obviously didn't know what a 7-day contract was in college or in my past years, but having that approach so that when these days come, or if they do come, obviously it's here now, it's nothing. Like you don't overthink it because you prepare for each day as if it may be your last day. So I don't try to even think about, oh, this is my last day on this contract. I just try to attack the day and try to get that 1% better and try to see what I can bring to the team that day and get better, what I can do individually as well.
Love it. Thank you.
No problem.
I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Have a good one.
Okay. Hey there, Eric. I know Coach was talking about yesterday how, you kind of breaking things down, 3v3, 4v4, just some invaluable extra connectivity work this week prior to the game on Saturday. What does that look like? And what did that look like today? And how is that continuing to build?
Yeah, it's on both sides of the ball. Offensively, getting back to just kind of fundamentals of screening and using screens. Everything is tied to getting in sync more with teammates. Obviously, we got a couple new people. Shatori and Megan really haven't had practices with us yet until this week.
Right.
So Shatori obviously has been here before, but trying to get back on the same page in some 2-man actions. And then when we add other people on the court, just back to basics about spacing, timing, when to cut, when to screen versus, doing those things when you're not in a position to help your teammate with the ball. Then defensively, like communication, what to say, when to say it. And then the people like guarding a ball screen, getting back in sync on our coverages.
And Shatori was talking about how being disruptive defensively, especially against Courtney Vandersloot and Candace Parker that have the ball in their hand a lot, are going to be keys. What have you been working on to kind of make that the purpose of practices on the defensive end?
Yeah, and I'd say for Chicago, obviously, because they have some great passers, but just in general for us, getting back into better ball pressure to trying to dictate more, especially in ball screen action. We were just getting a little too soft on the ball. Like even when we wanted to go under on screens, if you're too far off, it's difficult. So Coach T yesterday talked about trusting yourself to do your job and the people behind you to help protect you and be where they're supposed to be. Because I think when you don't trust what's going on behind you, you tend to get a little softer on the ball and play a little safer.
Yep. Thank you so much.
Kareem.
Hey, Eric, how's it going?
Hey, Kareem, how are you?
Good. I want to ask a little bit about Ariel. I know she was banged up a little bit ago, and I don't know if that's kind of still nagging with her a little bit, but I'm just curious, what are you guys seeing from her? She hasn't quite been, I think in the last week or so, quite as aggressive as she was when, she hit that stretch where she was really kind of tearing everybody up.
Yeah, I think, there's the two pieces of it. The physical part, like you're saying, she was banged up, and I think just a little probably fatigued as well. We've been asking a huge amount of her with the ball. She's not getting much easy. Teams are giving her a ton of attention in game planning. Without Tosh out there who pushes our tempo so much and creates so much for others, she's not getting anything easy in transition or off the ball. So she's had the ball in her hands a lot. I think the big positive is, I think if you look at the last 5 games, even though she's found it a little bit more difficult shooting the ball or getting easy looks, I think she's got 26 or 27 assists in the last 5 games. So she's had a way of impacting our offense even when she hasn't scored. Even the other night in the second half, she made 2 or 3 great passes to wide open shooters, kind of like Tina did, and we just didn't knock them down. So part of her development's been playmaking for herself, but also for teammates. And, it's good to see, even when she's not been totally in rhythm, that she has gotten teammates easy looks.
And it's funny you mentioned her development. That was the next thing I was going to ask. Is that kind of part of it all of, okay, your game kind of elevates and then defenses adjust and how they play you, and then kind of figuring out, all right, what's my counter to that?
100%. And I think she went through that a little bit last year in the bubble. But she's for sure getting it right now, especially being shorthanded. We haven't even been, you're not even able to get much rest during the game. So, we've talked a lot just as we watch NBA games and other players in our league of just being in control at your own pace, reading what's happening, being able to sit there, not sit there, but being able to read what's going on with the defense while staying aggressive. And that's a tough balance, because you can be too aggressive and you don't know what's going on, or you can be too passive trying to read everything. And so finding that balance it's the last step for her, I think. I mean, she's a great shooter. She's gotten better around the rim. She's become a better passer. It's, can I make the right read and decision on every possession, including when it's time for me to be aggressive?
And you just touched on Tosh for a second, and Tori did also. How do you, or what's the biggest challenge of when she's not out there trying to, I know it's not replicate what she does, but trying to find, she does so much, trying to find all of those different things that she does from other places?
Yeah, trying to replicate, I would say the pace is probably the hardest thing. She just plays at such a good tempo. And, it also just takes the pressure off of Leilani of having to initiate the offense for such a long stretch of the game. Playing the two of them together has always been beneficial to both of them. So like even this week, we're just working on different people handling the ball, trying to find a few options to get into things easier, without having to have one person just initiate all offense, get everybody organized. But we've been trying to do it without practice, which is really, really difficult. So even just having a few days of practice and going over some different ways to initiate offense should help. We miss our defense, obviously, too.
And just one last thing for me. Obviously, every game's important. You want to win everyone. Does this one carry maybe a little bit more weight just to kind of go into the break on a good note, or is it still, hey, each individual game is, just as important as the next?
I'm sure that we'd all feel a little better during the break if we could win it, but I don't know that saying that changes much about how we approach the game. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Obviously, we'll probably feel the effects a little bit more when you've got that much time to think about your last game. But I think, after a couple of weeks, when we come back in and it's time to start fresh, I think we'll have good focus and energy and a drive to finish the season the way we feel we can, kind of regardless of what happens Saturday. But yeah, for sure, we'd all feel a little bit better those few days afterwards if we can get a win.
Cool. That's perfect for me. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thanks.
I think that's it, Eric. Thank you.
Great. It might be who else is coming? Teresa?
Yeah, Tiki's,
All right,
but
might be-
she's still shooting.
Yeah, it might be 1 minute on her. Thanks.
Good, thanks. How are you?
Gosh, did I look in the mirror today?
If anyone has any questions, please raise your hand. Kareem.
Did I unmute? Yes, I did.
How's it going?
Hey,
Good?
what's up, Teresa? How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
You'd think a year into this, I'd figure out how to mute and unmute, but hey, here we are.
Every day's a learning process. So.
Every single day. Just wanted to ask a little bit more about this week. A lot of talk about kind of communication, getting back on the same page with everyone. Just curious, how's that process been from your perspective?
I think this has been a really good time for us to get back on our feet in terms of resting bodies and bringing people back off of injury, and B, just working on the little things that, to be honest, with the lack of numbers to be available to actually go, and just the time that we've had to work on ourselves has been very little. So this week of just focusing and working on little things every day, whether it's communication, whether it's point of attack, whether it's ball screen coverages or ball screens and our angles and things like that. We were really touching up on these little things to, make one last push before the break and then set the standard for what we want to come back looking like.
You quickly mentioned, you said, this has been the first time in a while to kind of work on yourselves. Has that been much individual, or is that pretty much like you were just saying, kind of a lot of the team concepts and working with each other?
It's been small groups. We've been doing a lot of small groups so we can focus on each individual specifically, but within a group setting and as live as we can go. When you go 2-on-2, 3-on-3, 4-on-4, it's not really a real game, but you can definitely understand strong side spacing, weak side spacing, point of attack spacing, and really nitpick at the things that we want to be better at. And we watched film, saw where we struggled, and really coming into practice, working on point of attack, working on our coverages, working on our rotations on the weak side, flooding the help line, things of this nature that we really dropped the ball in these last couple games, and getting in the gym, being able to work on that and stopping and correcting and teaching has been really beneficial for us in these past couple practices.
Since you kind of mentioned it, you said we really dropped the ball the last couple games. Everybody in a good mental space, you recognize, hey, we're better than this, and able to kind of move on, or does that stuff kind of linger a little bit?
I think it's a mixture of both. I think that as professionals and as competitors, you want to win every single time you step on the court. You want to make every single shot you take. You want to be perfect. But the reality is you can't be. And then just having these games back to back to back with numbers, I just feel like this team has had every excuse in the book to fold, and we have fought through so much. And just to have this time, I think the heart's there. I think the trust is there for one another. It's just being able to capitalize on things and really get down to detail on the things that we have been doing. I think we can do a lot better when it comes to just spacing and having ball movement and not looking so stagnant, and coming in with a good mindset and not hounding on the pass, and knowing that this is just halfway, and the difference between 4th place and 11th place is what, like a game and a half or something like that. So this is really a competitive season in the WNBA. All the way across, historically in the WNBA, you have top heavy and bottom heavy. This is middle of the playing field heavy. So, we're in a battle right now. We understand that every game is very important. And that's just something that we want to continue to grow off of, is just controlling what we can control every single day and focusing on the little things and hoping that will continue to blossom into something a lot better.
And just one last thing for me, and I'll shut up. You've had so many different roles just throughout the course of this one half of the season. I'm just curious, what's that like been for you when, 1 week you're called to do one thing, and 3 days later you might be called to do something completely opposite?
That, to be honest, that's what the WNBA is all about, is just next man up mentality. With a 12-man roster, you never want to see injuries, but injuries happen in the game of basketball, and things happen. And you just have to be ready. You always have to be ready. You never know when your number is going to be called. And, coming into the season, coming into training camp, there was a lot of things basketball wise that I could not do due to COVID restrictions in New Orleans, due to how my back was feeling. Even when my back started feeling better, like lateral movements were about. So there was a lot of things coming in that I wasn't necessarily being able to do everything 100%, and working myself into that throughout training camp in the beginning of the season has been really nice to be able to maintain what I can do on the court without the heavy load, and just being thrown into minutes like that. It's been a hard balance of me finding where my body will fatigue, and me pushing through that mental fatigue, and being able to push in spurts where I know that, maybe I haven't trained as hard as I wanted to getting up to this point due to whatever. And coming into these situations, it's been everybody's kind of thrown into it. We had Tosh playing the 5 at one point. So really, like, you're doing whatever you can to get this team a win. But one thing that we don't do is give up. We don't cave in, and we don't make excuses. So here we are. And we want to get this one on Saturday. Chicago is a really good team, and it's a good opportunity for us to exit before Olympic break on a high note.
It's absolutely perfect. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Kareem.
Christy.
Hey, Teresa.
See how you doing?
Hey, good. Just kind of building on what you were just saying about having that strong momentum on Saturday, just really going in and being disruptive. What are the major keys that you've been working on in practice this week so that could be a possibility on Saturday for you?
I think our focus has been communicating a lot better, trusting each other on the defensive end to just be a little bit closer to the ball. Post, whenever we come to the ball screen, be a little bit closer to the point of attack. Just being more aggressive at the point of attack is really going to help everything else come to play. When we are passive and we are just kind of floating around the point of attack, it's hard for our backside to rotate the way that they need to. So when we do better at the point of attack, everything else has been kind of flowing into place. And we have more of an emphasis on talking. We have a more of an emphasis on talking loudly so that everyone can hear, not the person in your coverage. Just little things like that we have been, when fatigue hits, your brain goes first, and these things have been lacking. So when we get tired, when things happen, these are the things that we're going to fall back on. So really working on that this week has been very helpful.
And with a team like Chicago and, Courtney Vandersloot and her playmaking abilities, but then also Candace Parker and her playmaking abilities at her size and position as well pose a challenge. What kinds of things are you looking to do to disrupt both of them specifically on Saturday?
We haven't gone over personnel yet, but I know that, Courtney Vandersloot's having one hell of a year, one of her best seasons, not saying that all of her other seasons haven't been anything, but she's just really playing this season, as well as Chicago's a really good team collectively, especially when Candace is in the game. They do a really great job, but really being able to limit the decision-making of Quigley, Vandersloot, pushing her to one side, limiting her as much as we can, forcing her into screens, forcing her to do things that she doesn't necessarily want to do, make her options less available, as well as Candace, as a point guard post, she can distribute, she can dribble, she can really do it all. So being able to limit her and her options would be crucial for us. And that's going to be very heavy on the person that has them individually, as well as our rotation on the backside. It's a team effort when it comes to defending individual players. It doesn't rely on just one person. I think we can do a better job of collectively guarding individuals.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Natalie?
For you personally, what are you looking forward to in the break coming up? Rest, relaxation, and then is there anything that you're not looking forward to? Any downsides to the extended break?
I think this break, the things I'm looking most forward to is just being able to reset my body. I think everybody's a little beat up right now. So just being able to take some time to rest and recover is very important, as well as having a balance of keeping your body in shape and keeping your body in a place where you can come back and not miss a beat, conditioning wise, strength wise, etc. I'm also really looking forward to seeing my family and my dog. I miss them a ton. The down part, I don't get to spend every single day with my teammates. I'm really going to miss them so much. And just the fun that we have just walking into the gym. It's really a really good space here. And it's fun showing up to practice every day. It's fun dealing with everybody as a whole, as well as individually. It's a really great group. And just being away from everybody for so long is going to be, it's going to be weird. And it's going to be hard. But I think everyone's looking forward to just being able to rest their minds and their bodies and their souls. And then we just come back and it'll be like the first day of school again. We're excited to see all your friends and you can't go to sleep the night before. I think that's how it's going to be for me coming back from break.
Last question to Christos.
Hey, Teresa, how are you?
Hi, Christos. How you doing?
I'm fine. I'm from Greece, so I'd like to ask you about the upcoming season that we know you already signed, agreed with Olympiacos team in Greece. How easy was that decision, and with who told you before you make your decision?
Well, I don't think that I've signed officially in Greece.
So
I think that it's
agree.
definitely an option on the table for me, but I think that a lot of things bring me to draw me to Olympiacos. It's a really nice place. Historically, they've had a really good team. EuroLeague, Euro Cup, they've always done really well. As well as I have a few friends, as well as George. If I said his last name, I would murder it. So I don't want to even try. Yes. I have a lot of Greek friends that have told me all the wonderful things that happen there. So I'm trying to go to Greece for that, as well as just the basketball. I played with Ivana Matsi for a year in Turkey, and just the things that she said about Olympiacos has been really great. So if that is the place that I end up landing, I'm really looking forward to being there, as well as seeing everything that Greece has to offer, as well as good Mediterranean food.
And also, we saw that you follow Yelena Leuchanko on Instagram.
Yes.
Do you know her? And do you know that the last season he played for the biggest rival of Olympiacos, Panathinaikos?
No, I did not know that. I did not
And
know that.
Did you talk her with her about the Greek experience?
I have not talked to her. The last time I spoke with her was in 2019 when I played against her when we were both playing in China. And that was the last time that we spoke.
Thank you very much. Have a
Thank
nice
you.
day.
Thank you.
I think that's it, Teresa. Thank you.
Guys.